What up, everybody? It's your boy Evan, one half of MF Pearl. We got the other half sitting behind the camera, making sure that we rolling. We got David back there. Oh yeah. My bad. I got his microphone. He said, "Hey, everybody." But you know what it is, man. Wednesdays. That's what we do over here. Volume 2, live at MFHQ. Disclaimer. Live at MFHQ is in fact not recorded live. It's actually a pre-recorded program. This episode contains sexually explicit content, so feel free to do what you wish with that information. If you could be so kind of like, follow, and subscribe from me. We go a very long way. New episodes every Wednesday. Now back to the show. Damn, I didn't even know that was gonna rhyme. Honestly, that was unintentional. But thank you guys so much for coming through to the show. We're recording this the day of the show, right before, so we got some crazy like speaking in advance right now. But at the same time, it's been a lot of work, so it's really cool to go ahead and sort of wrap everything up tonight and just see where it all kind of gets put together, the culmination of it all. But thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for showing support to the platform. Make sure you guys continue to do so. Make sure you guys subscribe to us on YouTube to keep up with all MFHQ, along with future episodes of Midnight Sessions. Make sure if you guys are listening to this on your streaming platforms, make sure you guys give it a rating, share it, like it, whatever you can do to show some love on those platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. And yeah, if you guys can just follow us on the gram as well. That's where we have all of our that's where we have all of our updates, all of our announcements, and that's where you can find the most recent everything, MF Pearl, honestly. But let's get back into the show, man. We got our first, I guess, half sequel going on today. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get it. But, yo, so I've been a fan of this combination of artists as soon as they released an album titled 2121, and I came to learn that there was an introduction between these two artists even prior to that. So about 2017, I believe, right, is when you said the circa 2017ish is when the original meeting came up. So 2017 comes around, these two artists that we're about to speak with go ahead and come together at, I believe, a show in Arizona. And just a meeting of the minds, two sets that were played. Both of them enjoyed each other's set, and then they continued the conversations after. And that's the beauty of music, because it could be created across states, across lines, borders, countries, everything, you name it. So long as, you guys have the willpower and everything to go and get it done. So individually, they both have their careers within music as well. And man, just the sounds that they have are insane. I want to hear how they describe their sounds. I want to hear more about them, especially because it's very rare to see these two together on the, especially at the HQ, man. One of them we're bringing in from Detroit, Michigan, and then we have a couple other artists that were here as well that were out of town. But I'm talking way too much. I'm way too excited. Let's just get back into the episode, man. Without further ado, man, I've been waiting to see these two artists for forever together. We got BILLI FREE and the Lasso. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey. Applause track. Yes.
Got it.
Thanks for having us out.
What up, Billy? Back at it. Back at it. Oh, yeah, I got that one here, too. Where's it at?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
again.
absolutely. Lasso.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us out.
Welcome to El Paso, man. Yes, sir. First time in El Paso, right?
I've only driven through before. First time really being here. So,
oh, man. Okay. We hope that this weekend is incomplete. I know it's only been a day or so that you've been here, so we hope that the rest of the trip is awesome. Especially the show tonight. Yeah. The show tonight, yo. But I guess we can go ahead and start with from your guys' perspective a bit. If you guys can just give me a quick reintroduction to the meeting of the minds between you all and where exactly it was, when it was, just so we can catch up to speed a bit.
I like to let Lasso tell it because my memory gets foggy. I'll fill in where necessary.
Nice. 2017, both of Billy and I were performing at the Tucson Hip Hop Festival. I was performing with an artist, Lando Chill. Billy was performing solo. Heard her music, and I think she heard us perform too, and just both, whether it was, I don't even know if we spoke in person, but just we're like hitting each other, like, oh, I saw your set, it was cool. And from there, the seed was planted, and lots of hours, lots of emails, conversations, here we are many years later, and made albums together and toured or play shows. And it's been an awesome season of life.
Yeah, chapters, man. Aside from BILLI FREE, is a lot of the work, the collaborative work you do, is a lot of it with artists that don't tend to be in the same city as you?
It's never like a thing I maybe seek out or is purposeful, but that does happen. Like I think as a producer, I tend to work with people I kind of know, actually, not necessarily just email stuff out. So sometimes this starts in real life, sometimes it starts on social media, or maybe you see each other at a show, but you don't live by each other. In our situation, that's pretty common because if you see someone perform and hear them, you learn a lot about them in that just in their element. So it's a good place to launch a collab. But.
And the festival, I think during that time you were staying in Arizona? You were living there?
Yeah, I lived in Tucson for about 5 years.
Okay. And then is Detroit the hometown?
I'm from Michigan, other side of the state, but Detroit's where I've lived for a while.
Okay.
My parents are from there and stuff, so I didn't grow up there, but familiar place.
What brought you to Arizona, essentially?
My partner at the time got hired to just do a teaching job, super common, like people moving from the Midwest down there. So I just went along for the ride and ended up kind of finding a whole other part of life down there, and etc.
I feel you. Let's go through the timeline just a little bit. Let's see where I guess for you, where does music essentially begin? Not so much as like a listener or like a fan, but when is the first time that you, I guess, begin creating music yourself or having an interest in doing it?
From the womb.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Like some Dune, just straight out the womb.
Yeah, my mom drank
The water of life.
some crazy stuff. No, that's not true. Shout out to my parents though, because they are a part of that story. My parents were just music fans. They weren't, my immediate family. The other three, my brother and my parents, they're not musicians, but they're full on music fans. Like they love music. It was around all the time. So I was the one who my grandpa gave me just like a little Yamaha keyboard, or I saw it at his house, and I was just drawn to it, like almost like a kid is like a toy or something. So that would have been maybe third or fourth grade. I was lucky to grow up in an area and in a time where schools still had music programs. So I started playing the clarinet in fifth grade, and it's really been in one kind of thread for me since then.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing something way different now, but my life started moving the way it does now, probably at that point, which is just being focused on creating.
Yeah. You start with clarinet. Is that something you can still play if you wanted to? Like you still get it?
Yeah, I can still play pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not like jazz stuff, but like I can overdub it on records and stuff.
Okay, I feel you.
But
Yeah, music programs. They I think when I was in fifth grade, you either had to do fine arts or music. And then I was like, I did music at first, learned saxophone, and the next year I was like, I want to see what's up on the other side of the other side of grass. So I did fine arts. Bill, you could play some instruments too, right? You could throw down.
I started out in church choir, and then I went to a band, and I played the bass clarinet for a couple years.
Clarinet.
And then I went back to choir and chamber music and musical theater.
couple bass clarinet players.
Man, this
It's crazy, right?
and then keys at all? Can you play keys at all?
No.
Okay, because you don't integrate it when you're DJing. Because I know some people can do that sometimes, right?
No, I don't. It's just straight controller. I can do vinyl, but for the ease of performing it and a DJ set, I just do the controller.
Do you guys consider vinyl like an instrument in itself? Like, do you when you're like scratching or whatever the case may be, do you consider playing an instrument?
For me, as far as turntablism, absolutely. I feel like the vinyl, the whole turntable is an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Since other than this show and the one we played last September, I've barely played instruments in the last year. All I pretty much do is dig for records and cut them up. That's been the last like year and a half, 2 years of my life. So, yeah, that's been the instrument I've been most focused on.
It's like what would you call it? Sampling?
Yeah, just chopping
Chopping
like the digging process to like finding stuff that speaks to you, the listening part. That's been, yeah, I consider it an instrument. It takes a lot of practice to have something to say with it. Like any instrument, you can kind of play it, but playing it and doing something with
It's like Bumblebee, like from Transformers, who was just speaking through radio, but he's just getting clips and all that.
Yeah.
It seems it seems impressive to go ahead and sample work because like when you're sampling a record, how much can you strip out of it? Because you don't have stems of it, so like you kind of have to work with whatever it is you're cutting up, right? Like you're kind of
yeah. The specific form I do too is like super minimal. Like I don't add anything. Like I'm not into not that I don't like it. I have friends who chop and add drums and stuff, but I'm mostly into like edits. So the only things I change are like the speed, the pitch, and maybe some effects, but the whole process is focused around just like finding pieces that everything's already there. So like, yeah, I have a couple like records out that are all chop tapes, and it's essentially done in that form. Where,
Tears of Sound,
yeah, I just put one out a week ago called Tears of Sound.
Bandcamp, SoundCloud.
Yeah, Bandcamp, SoundCloud,
Hit that
Mixcloud.
Bandcamp, bro.
Yeah.
Straight up. You were telling me a little bit earlier that you love Bandcamp. I've never really been on the back end of it. Is there like aside from being able to like aside from it being a platform that makes it a little bit more accessible and easier for artists to just directly receive funds, is there anything else that like you prefer about Bandcamp? Like
I actually just kind of like the culture they have on their website. It seems to be that people who like showing their work more than making like super finished albums or something flock to Bandcamp. So I tend to like that kind of music, like beat tapes, ambient stuff, like weird, like things that are outside of like the normal like music industry commerce cycle of like this is the big album or something. Bandcamp tends to hold a lot of artists who want to just put out a lot of stuff. So I like that about it.
I also like the journalism piece as well. I think that I don't know, it's changed a lot in the last 2 years, Bandcamp, but they used to have Bandcamp Album of the Day, Bandcamp Daily, where you can go and you can just, they have journalists that are constantly listening to all of the uploads, and you can just find new things. As a DJ, I look up a lot of remixes just to like throw on. Sometimes I don't really listen to a lot of top 40, but in my DJ sets, sometimes the event calls for that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to spice it up a little bit. And you can find that stuff. You can find different re-edits and refixes and remixes on Bandcamp.
Aside from Bandcamp, are you guys looking for ripping like YouTube videos and stuff to get an MP3, ripping it as an MP3 or anything like that? Like where else do you find music to put into your sets? Like for the most part, you said top 40 might have to like be what they're asking for, but when they're asking for you to throw down and it's up to you, like how deep could you go?
I mean, I don't really rip for my DJ sets unless I'm in an emergency situation and I get like a crazy request because of the quality.
Yeah.
The quality issue for me, but I also have done record pools where I pay a subscription and then I have, access to a lot of clean music or edited music and so on and so forth, different wave, MP3, whatever you like.
What about you? What do you? Vinyls, mainly.
I feel like DJing.
Yeah, when you're. Do you DJ?
Yeah,
like,
I DJ.
You just throw on DJ sets.
I feel like I tend to use like I like how on Serato, if you use Serato and you have a title subscription, you can pull anything off. So I use that if there's Wi-Fi because then it's totally improvisational. So like if I DJ, I don't actually go on stage having any plan. So I just like I like that part of title, like the title Serato thing. I rip music though from all sorts of places.
Is that the right
honestly,
word? That's the right word,
honestly,
right?
like. This is some advice for the listeners here.
Yeah.
If you have an audio interface, just get an aux cord and your phone with Tidal or something that can play high fidelity and just record it into Ableton or Bandcamp instead of... So, like, I straight up will put on, like, a 5-hour playlist, play it up while I'm just, like, out of the house into Ableton, then I go cut up the files later. So that's one way I get like music off streaming that, because then I can pull it into Serato.
Nice.
Tips for Billy too, man.
Yeah, it's a good way to like get high quality stuff. But I rip stuff off YouTube all the time. I use all the STEM AI rippers too. I'm super into that these days. Pulling.
How do you feel about it? Is it like quality wise? Do you think it does enough of the job for you, or do you wish it could be a little bit better?
I embrace the quality. Like
okay.
I put out tons of remix albums too under a different name, and I do all of that via ripping off YouTube and pulling into an AI to grab the vocals. And yeah, they sound bad, but I think it's part of the craft. It doesn't really matter to me. Like I'm not worried about the quality of it.
I have a question for you. While we're at Tidal, I kind of switched over to Tidal after we've had a couple of conversations about it, and to DJ while I'm in Serato. But what would happen is it would never update. like I would pull the song from Tidal into the playlist that I'm using to DJ off of, and then when I try to update or try to grab that in Serato, it would never show up.
You maybe
I would
have
have to shut down and then reopen.
Yeah, really, I think you kind of have to prep the playlist. So I do it all by playlist. So
Yeah.
when I DJ off Tidal, this is like such sport. Is this content interesting? I'm going with that.
That's okay. We
No,
go
it's
through topics.
actually a great way to I do playlists by genre.
Yeah.
So I got like 50 playlists. They might
Yeah.
say mood music, jazz, rap, old school funk, modern funk. And then if you prep that all in Tidal, it's less glitchy. So I
Yeah.
prep all my crates in Tidal and then do the update button because I have the same
There's an
thing.
update button?
Yeah, you have to process everything. There's a little. I know what you're saying. Sometimes it'll
Yeah.
double my stuff. It's glitchy.
Yeah,
it's
it does
not,
double
it's
it
not
too.
well integrated at
Okay.
all, but it works. You know, if you kind of like put in a good weekend to it and then
Yeah.
sit on those crates for
We'll
a couple
talk
months.
later.
Yeah.
I'll call you when I re-update my subscription. I was really mad because I was like, oh, like I can take requests now. You know, I had a little QR code on the table. People could just like, "Beep."
Oh, see, that does work for me usually with
Yeah?
requests.
Okay.
We'll figure this out.
How does the portfolio of the Lasso look? Because we're here talking about DJing, but obviously we also have original music where you'll be the producer, you'll be the DJ in the back running the beats. But what is that? Is that mainly it? Is that 50-50? Because then I mean, no, let's talk about it. What's the portfolio? What's your workload? I should say.
Yeah, like I mostly play instruments. Like
You ever play like an actual instrument on a set for somebody instead of the DJ? Like you ever just like ran
yeah.
drums or something?
I toured for like a decade as a keyboard player.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
I might look young, but I'm not gonna say my age. But I've been doing it for a long time. Like,
Yeah, I feel you.
And like not at some huge level or something, but like I had a whole era where I toured as guitarist
Yeah.
and keyboard player. I've played bass with bands. Like
Yeah.
like beat making wasn't, unless you had hardware, wasn't like a reliable, or really wasn't that accessible till like about 2010. Because when Fruity Loops, Ableton 7 started to be accessible. Prior to that, like you kind of had to have an MPC. Maybe Fruity Loops could still do stuff, but it wasn't like a macro culture. So like for me, all my first 15 years as a musician was entirely playing instruments, like down to acoustic guitar and piano and all this stuff. So by the time I hit beat making, like I had a whole life of playing instruments. So the era of music that most people have heard of me or heard my productions these days has been like that being hybridized, where it's like even on Holy Body Roll, we'll just jump into that because it's easier to explain with an album. Like 60% of the albums are like 60 to 80% of the music is me playing every instrument at my house. Like
Yeah.
like almost all of Holy Body Roll is me playing. Then I send it to Billy. She writes the songs, puts the vocal on. If we add other people, then we like weave that in between what I've played. So most of the records you hear that are the Lasso, it's actually me playing instruments. Even the drums, a lot of it's drum kit. Like even the song Holy Body Roll, that's me playing a drum kit and then looping myself.
What kind of drum kit was it? It was like a kid's
Yeah, I
drum
bought the
kit. Yeah.
I bought the Questlove Pocket Kit, the kids drum kit.
It's smaller.
Yeah,
Or
it's not that small, but it is kind of small. And
It's like primary
I actually kind
colors.
of regret it. Like
Red, green,
I
blue.
should have bought a little bit better kit for the era I used a drum kit, but it was just size limitation for me. But then I take that into Ableton and process it and make it sound like someone's like sampled it or something.
There's no samples on Holy Body Roll. It's all original compositions.
Yeah, it's all compositions.
man.
Yeah, there's no samples on Holy Body Roll.
I'd imagine like when you're doing an album such as that, you might throw in a little bit of your like love for sampling into it. But I can also understand why it needs its original compositions.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, they're different parts of my life. Like sometimes I want to be like I am passionate about editing records and sampling, like, but then it's a different feeling when you write the music
Yeah,
or
hell yeah.
something. Like
Are you writing it like notes? Like no,
I,
are you kinda just
I
getting a
can
feel
write
for it?
sheet music and read sheet music, but I don't really do that. No, I pretty much like I'd say any track I've put on an album, I bet most of it was made in about an hour or an hour and a half. Like even Holy Body Roll, like that song or something. Like I'm like I churn through stuff. If I have an inspired day, I'm going to make 4 tracks, probably. Get them to that 60 to 80% thing where it's like someone could write to this potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to really clean it up until I know someone wants to use it. So I always have a huge catalog and pipeline of like 60 to 80% done music that potentially someone could write to. But with a real collaboration, I'm making them for Billy. So I'm making Billy batches of stuff to pick through. If she likes it, we finish it. But yeah, it's all based on playing at least those records.
So for like example, a song that would have like a bridge in it, it doesn't have the bridge yet until you.
No, I write the bridges. So
okay,
like
so you already like know where to put them
I'm
in.
sort of like but yeah. Like we kind of like some of the bridges. Like I'm gonna keep referencing Holy Body Roll, and people can go listen to it if they want to know what we're talking about. But like Go Let Go has a bridge and everything. Like I wrote all that on keyboards. Like like I write the songs on keyboards usually.
Okay.
And Ableton's my score. So I don't write anymore in sheet music. I write on Ableton, like, and I use it as someone would use a score, and I'm moving stuff around. I'm sort of like just kind of making these drafts that the draft is far enough along. There's a feeling in it that maybe someone could write to.
A lot of these files, not only like the file itself, like the bounces that you're doing, but also like the Ableton project and all that. Are you a pretty organized guy? Like, are you pretty good with cataloging your files? And
oh man, I'm not. I've gotten way better. the remixing has made me way better because I care about the BPM and I want to be able to search that. But no, it's a mess. I have so many hard drives, so much stuff. I could probably. I'm pretty good at finding stuff because I can remember the day. Like, people will send me beats. Like, just this weekend, someone was recording to a beat I made like 2 years ago and asked for the stems. I can kind of be like, I remember the season I was in, and I got to start there. March 2022.
Eras.
But I name files just like a bunch of E's. It's really irresponsible. It's like J11. Like, I literally hit stuff. It's terrible, man.
How about you, Billy? Because like when you're running sets and you're downloading songs that have all these weird names and this version, that version, and all these names get lost, what's your file management?
I name them for her if I give her tracks. But
yeah. I go by genre. So I start out very ambitious, and so I set up all of my folders. Like new releases, I put all the new releases in new releases, and then the plan is to go back and then shuffle them into the different genres.
Yeah.
And so I have like an outline, I have a framework, but sometimes I get into a season where I'm like, I don't care. So my new release folder is like super big. But we were just talking last night. I'm starting to archive all of my lyrics. And
I think I saw that.
Yeah, from all of my different projects. And so a lot of times I'll have them written, but I won't have them typed out. A lot of times they'll be in an email. So sometimes like for Holy Body Roll, I would just like type the lyrics out in an email and send it to Lasso with the stems or with the session. And so now it's just a matter of me like grabbing from all of the different places, and I get really frustrated because I'm like, why didn't I just set up a system where it's written, it's handwritten, it's printed, and then it's also digital.
Yeah.
So now I'm like running back from 2018 and trying to like organize everything. And I remember specifically I had our lyrics for Holy Body Roll in my Google Drive, and then I hit the your account is at 95%. Your storage is about to run out. So then I went and I tried to download everything off of that, and I accidentally deleted all of my lyrics for Holy Body Roll. Oh. Thank goodness. I made sure that all of our lyrics were on Bandcamp. Because when we turned in the album, I sent all of the lyrics to the label, and they put it on Bandcamp. It's not on mine, it's on yours. So I was like, it's on my Bandcamp. I went in because there's like 2 separate accounts, but under one like project, but it's under Lasso. So then I went in and I like copied and pasted everything and printed it out. So, and then we renamed the songs, right? So one song is like Le Sade or something like that. And I think it turned into like Evidence or Call Me or something. So I have lyrics filed under the original name, but I never went back and changed the file name to the name that it now is that everybody knows it as. So that's another another thing that I need to clean up. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
So you're talking about the lyrics and how you'd like to go and archive them, and then just having them available, I guess, for the user on Bandcamp to be able to read and access them and reference them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we were talking about Tears of Sound a bit, and I was saying that I really loved the way you sequenced at least the song titles, but lyrics sequencing. When you guys are making these projects, you know that, and I know last time that we had talked, you said that you don't tend to go back to your music too much. Like when it's out, it's kind of out. But I guess when you guys are creating music and the experience, you guys are aware that this is going to be obviously for an end user, someone's going to be listening to this. How much of the balance is like, I'm creating this for myself, but I'm also creating this for an experience for people? Because there's a pride in sequencing, there's a pride in the lyrics. You can see that you guys care about the entire experience. Liner notes, some bit, you know what I mean? All those things are important. And not everyone obviously treats it with the same value. Some people just kind of overlook. Some people don't even have their lyrics uploaded anywhere.
Yeah.
And you want to reference, you can't. What kind of balance is that for you guys? How much of a percentage of your work is kind of like an expression of you guys and it's all completely wholeheartedly for you? And the other part of it is, oh yeah, I mean, I really want to create this experience for my listeners.
I think it changes. I think when I'm in the creation stage, it's definitely for me and my collaborators. But once you turn that package in with everything, it's no longer mine, it's for others to ingest and to process and synthesize.
You block that out though while you're creating? You block like that?
Oh yeah. And then when sort of like tying back this whole lyric piece, right? And then we choose songs if we have the opportunity to perform them live, right? And so then for me, it becomes a little 50-50, right? Or sometimes, like we were discussing last time, we go through a certain thing and I'm practicing for performing a song and I'm like, damn, these lyrics are for me. Like I had no idea that I would experience this and that these lyrics would be helpful or a salve for me.
Like a moment where the lyrics are like, this is truer now than it was like when I wrote it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
What about you?
Yeah. Like I think the process of making music's pretty much for me. Like that's why I have a lot of music. Is like I like making it. It makes me happy. It's what I like to do in life. And when things end up, being something for someone else, that's like awesome, of course. And sometimes there's seasons of life or eras where you have a collaborator where you're like, okay, this person, I got to kind of be conscious of, the listener, because maybe I see like the potential in them to resonate with people. And then there's other artists where you're like, nah, this person needs to just be in their own world and like, who cares what people maybe think of it. And maybe that's why people end up liking it, is because that particular artist needed to be themselves fully. Other people maybe need to think about the listener to get to their best shit.
For collaboration, is the word empathy that we're talking about right now, would you consider that empathy or just like awareness of who you're working with? Would you say that's the biggest like value of collaboration?
I think say it's like
Open-mindedness,
a necessary
maybe?
like ingredient to have like really good collaborations. If you're doing this like modern producer artist kind of thing, is like, I didn't get this when I was a little younger, but it's like you got to actually really think about the beats you're sending out to artists in the moment, because you're only going to get so much time with someone's ear. And if you just send them stuff because you think it's cool, they might be like, all right, yeah, I respect this person. But if you're actually trying to collaborate, you probably got to send stuff that has who they are in mind. That's really hard to do if you don't know the people. So, with Billy, I'm going to send her beats that at least they have something to do with what I know about who she is in terms of a person and an artist. So, and that's empathy, I think. So to me, it's like an ingredient to make good music.
Damn. You agree? You feel the same way? Is there anything else that you feel like would be maybe more important? I don't know.
I think empathy is important, but I think that perspective changes, right? Is it empathy for my collaborator? Is it empathy for the audience? Is it empathy for myself? And I think that changes, and it depends on the music, the particular song, right? Like if I'm doing an anthem, right, then that track is definitely for the audience, right? That's me being empathetic to the audience. But if I'm doing like an introspective type deal, right, then it's for me. Or if I'm writing a song where it's like, I really want to allow the production to shine, then perhaps that's sympathy for my collaborator. So I think it's different percentages in different ways. And in that way, it is definitely a necessary ingredient
Yeah.
in any way.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh, man. So, for you, Lasso, right now, like I know that you said there's a mixture and you're always kind of moving around, but are you kind of striving? Are you like in a collaborative state right now? You just released a solo beat tape, but what space do you think you're in right now at the moment?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I'm not super focused on like any sort of commercial aspect of my career. I gotta be honest. So that's changes stuff. So I have a lot of space to just follow what's really inspiring me. So
Yeah.
like, I sometimes wish I was more of a producer who could just like send stuff out to hella people and get a bunch of placements and stuff. And I have some of that going on in my life, but for the most part lately, I used to work every day. Now I'm only really pick it up when I have like I feel like something pretty sincere. So Billy and I have a new album that's mostly done or pretty far along, and it's like so there was a time like last fall where that was what I was in. Like that was really inspiring me to create. So I followed that then,
Yeah.
but now 5 months later, like I don't really have hella ideas for that at this moment. I have, so I'm just kind of moving through what's inspiring me. And I hope that keeps building to. I always just trust it'll build to the next collaboration.
We were talking about on the car ride over here. We are talking about how kind of music's a lot more accessible now, and because of that, it's just a lot easier to record at home, and you can do all these things. Aside from that, though, like, do you think? I guess I kind of want to talk about your guys' perspective on like the industry itself because, like, I was saying I've been saying this for a little bit. Is I don't really think you need to rely on like we talked about labels and being signed. I don't think you really need to no more. And that's like one of the biggest things I think that's been changing about music industry is how accessible it is, how anyone can just make it now and really release it. But what are your guys' feelings on like on that? Like,
Yeah, I got a thought on that.
Take it.
I think it's about what your goal is. Like, I think more than ever, people are caught up in thinking that the purpose of making music is to be famous or something or be seen. And if you can kind of separate from that and be like, why am I actually making music? Is it to have a better life? Is it to enjoy, because I am called to do it? Your life's going to look really different and all those things. So, like, labels are really useful if you're someone who's like, I want to pay my rent off music. That might be a tool in your kit, is a label towards that commerce aspect. But if you're focused on the craft, like, are you trying to like are you trying to have a career as a musician? Are you trying to live as a is musician your way of life? So to me, labels are only relevant if you're on that commerce path and you're past a certain threshold of like, I have so much going on and humans are really feeling my music that I need help to make the kind of like commerce train roll.
what's the in between of that? Like, how do you go ahead and have me? Well, I guess the in between is now possible because now you could just kind of release your music to the world, and if it just catches fire, it catches fire.
Yeah, or just like maybe I think we underrate how much as artists it just feels good to like close the creative loop. And so like places like Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and home recording combined give us the ability to like finish our ideas and put them out. And if someone finds them, cool. Maybe down the line there is money to be made and something like a label can help you.
Yeah.
But if you're actually on the creative path and then you get caught up with a label, it might actually make things worse or confuse it for both the label and you because maybe you were trying to do something else, not actually be like an artist. And it's very, very different. Making music is very different than being a commercial artist.
Yeah.
And so the label thing is really only relevant to me if you're on that one path or if some reason that the creative path lands you with an income stream, maybe you're going to need someone to manage that for you with you.
Yeah, I feel you. Dang. You've had some time with labels, yes?
Definitely.
Do you
yeah.
feel I guess if you were to do that, like in your experiences, are you kind of just was kind of at the whatever they're able to provide, or are you a pretty picky person and you kind of like take the lead on how things are going to work out? Because we talked about having arrangements, like agreements with labels,
Yeah.
versus just being signed. You know what I mean? So is that kind of what you like put your foot down on a lot? Like, I would assume you'd have to. You're pretty experienced, man.
I think if you get the experience to work with someone, you should take it. That's how I look at my experience with labels. Was like, I'm not gonna like shoot it down on some sort of like intellectual conceit or something. Like if someone wants to help me with my thing, I'm down to see where that goes.
Okay.
So I'm really grateful for the experience. Like it was something I wondered about. I think we talk about this because as an artist, you wonder, you hear about that so much, like being signed. What is that? I thought it was something. Then when it happened to me, I learned what it is. And there's good and bad to it. Like it's just about who you are. I happen to be someone who is actually more creatively motivated than like, I didn't know that. So I learned that through being on a label that was like, okay, I'm not really that driven to just like make shit that can be sold. Maybe along the way, like shit I make has that potential, but I would need to be way more focused on that for the label thing to make hella sense for me. But the whole
Yeah.
experience was amazing and life affirming and stuff. So I think if you're offered those things, you got to see them through, at least see what's up, you know?
I like the consistency in answers across different musicians because a lot of the time that we've heard the answer is just like after their experience with label, they really feel like they've found themselves a lot more. And I think without that experience, well, I guess I can't really say what I think, but without that experience, do you feel like, because you said you learned it because of it, do you think you still would have learned it without, like?
Yeah, I think we all like wonder, how do you not gonna wonder? Like we're in this culture where that like loves famous people and shit. Like you can't escape wondering what it's like to be on a stage and have people appreciating you. Like that's just human, and it's okay to be like, yeah, I pursued that and tried that. Like, so that's how I think about it a lot. Was like the pursuit of that showed me kind of what I really was, and it's actually who I was before any of that, which is just someone who's like obsessed with music, and music's my way of life. It's how I meet people. It's why I'm here right now, and so that's actually what I wanted. I wanted music to be the thing that moves me through life, and so being on having experiences with labels, whether it was me signed or I'm producing something for a signed artist, yeah, they're always going to help inform who you are and where you're headed.
Yeah, I think it's like you would have learned that anyway, but it's a more like it's a quicker process, because there is more backing behind it. There's a little bit more support behind it. There's a machine behind it. So for me, it's like you would have learned it anyway, but perhaps it would have taken a little bit longer to learn those particular lessons. I feel that way too about touring. I've never been a person who's had like a tour, like a consistent tour. They've pretty much always been like one-offs. And I always wondered like, man, like, do I want to do this? Like, should I do this? How come this opportunity isn't coming? And so now I feel like it's okay that I haven't ever been on like a 40 city tour, right? Sleeping in the back of a van, scrounging for breakfast in the morning, right? And it's okay that I just do one-offs here and there. I'll do a 3-day blitz somewhere. I'll do a 2-day blitz. I'll do a week in another country. And it's a good balance, right? To be from not doing anything, right? From not doing anything, and then the extreme is like doing a lot in a very intense amount of time, to just sort of being in the middle way, right? And it took me a long time because I was like, damn, how come I'm not on tour, And how come the opportunity never presented itself? And now I'm just like, it's okay, right? Because I'm still learning the lessons, and I'm learning them at a good pace, and I'm learning it at a good pace for myself. I don't have to necessarily have that experience. Yeah. And because I have this middle experience, if that other more extreme experience came, I know how to better manage it instead of just like walking into it green.
You know? And you can compare it to something too. Because I feel like it's hard to compare the extreme to
to nothing. Yeah. To zero. Step one.
Yeah, you need that point of reference. Banana for scale.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that? When
Yeah.
you can't tell how big something is in a picture.
I think one thing people don't tell you is like a lot of these mainstream music experiences have very little to do with making music. Dude, like being on tour is like,
and a lot of it has to do
5% being playing music and like 95% like, are you into logistics and like reservations and drive times
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
been
and
this
like
process.
time zone changes and waiting. Like and same with being like this label thing or being an artist. It's like, do you want to talk about Instagram metrics, or are you trying to be in the studio making music? They're fundamentally different things, and you wouldn't know that without trying it. And that's like one thing I learned on tours. Like, I'd be hard pressed to get someone to go. I would only go on a tour with someone who's it's given me this certain standard of life, because it's like I have too many ideas. I want to be back at home working on music, not waiting in the lobby because we're like an hour early to get to a hotel, and then like, oh fuck, I'm hungry, and like I have to eat some like random restaurant food. Like, so much of it has just nothing to do with music, and
then
so
you
it's
find
so
out
like,
and you
what are you
realize,
trying
damn,
to
I'm not really
pursue?
built for this, you know?
Yeah, or just like, this has nothing to do with my goals. My goals were making music.
True.
Right.
And not now it's also cool to be a musician who's like, my goal is for people to hear
Yeah.
my music. That's fine too. I'm not saying that's wrong. Maybe touring's right for you then.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to sell off so much of my hours to get those hours on stage. That might be what you need to feel satisfaction as an artist. I don't. So I found a path that kind of checks the boxes I need.
Yeah. Or you are with a musician and you've created something and you're like very good in the studio, but maybe you're not great on the road together. You know what I mean? So there's all of these things too, like an emotional management piece, a logistical management piece, like all of these different things that, again, you know, from going to step 0 to the extreme, you like learn the hard way, you get hazed.
Yeah, and then one other thing is just like, does the world want to hear your music crazy? I've been working with this group, Shitty Boys in Detroit. If you guys are hip to them at all, Babytron, they're like really have gone super mainstream, and it was like the world kind of needed them to go on tour because they were so loved on the internet. That's a way different ask now too. If the world is loving your music, you should go have that 45 minutes a day on stage and have people like scream at you. But like, that's very different than being like, I'm an artist and I want to go travel, and then you end up playing in a bunch of coffee houses to like 5 people. That's fun and stuff, but you know, you got to just be realistic too. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't really like. There's a lot of people that want to be a musician, but I also feel like, I don't know. I think you do have to learn just how extreme it can get, especially at the ground level when you really do have to be your own videographer. There's shit like you were talking about logistics right now, man. How are you gonna create visuals for yourself without either paying for a videographer and everything like that? That's crazy. So I think when you realize how much work goes into it, I do think it does like kind of weed out like, you know, hobbyists versus professional musicians versus also people who are just like not getting weeded out, but more like just fine tuning their purpose behind music, the reasoning behind it. But I mean, right now in the car ride, we were talking about the fact that you do get a lot of opportunities to travel for music. So you know, let's just talk a little bit about this experience so far. Let's just cover the trip that we've done so far, and um, what what was your guys' like, I guess, group chat looking like when you guys were trying to figure out how much practice time you'll get, what you'll even practice, how smooth can we knock this down? You know what I mean?
we're like a remote group, so this is in our wheelhouse. And honestly, you guys are kind of part of a trend that I think is going to be cool and hopefully keeps developing, which is like, this is a couple times now where someone's like brought us out for a few days and they like plan stuff, and it's not just like, cool, I pulled into the coffee shop and then saw like one block of this town from 9 to midnight, and then we drove. And because like I've been all over the U.S. It's like, oh, I didn't even see any of these places. I just like drove through them. So I love this kind of thing. You guys have been awesome, like bringing us out, setting up creative opportunities. Like, it's way different and it's really awesome. So
Yeah.
it's a really cool thing you guys are doing. And I'm saying you're not the only ones, not to be like, oh, you're not, it's not special. It's like, no, it's actually, you're part of a great trend, which is like, I think the pandemic destroyed like a little bit of like the old industry culture, and now it's cool. Like, you guys can, on your own locomotion, set up something that was valuable. So
Yeah.
super cool.
I was just really excited to have these folks out here in Chuco, and we discussed last time I was on the podcast just how special this area is, just for itself, but also in the broader landscape of like North American music, and arts and culture and things like that. And we're a hidden jewel, So anytime that folks that have never been here or have only passed through, or maybe were here like 15 years ago, doing some other things, to have this experience, to visit the coffee shops, visit the studios, meet the people,
Yeah.
meet the teams, and just have that experience. And it's an exchange, right? Like while we were doing all of the activities yesterday, the folks that worked in the studio, seeing them vibe to what we were doing, right? So it makes it feel more universal, right? And here comes this empathy piece again, right? Like I think as artists, like we do things for ourselves, but if they're feeling it, like if I see some toe tapping, I'm like, all right, I can like turn this up a little bit more,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thought on having our sort of like Voltron configuration here in El Paso.
Does that translate to you as well? Like when you're collaborating with an artist, is there like some sort of, because you say that you collaborate with people that you know, and you try to kind of keep it in that lane. When like, is there a sort of like interest or like excitement that you want to try to like introduce people to where you're at? Like, do you look forward to that at all? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
definitely. Yeah, I love doing that. I love having this last year I've lived in Detroit. It's just such a great music city, and you get to bring people coming out and kind of show them how it is you do stuff.
Yeah. You've been to Detroit?
Sharing
Too?
the
Yeah.
recipe sharing, etc. It's like it's a good part of life, and yeah, same thing down here. Yeah, everybody, all of us, like subconsciously are taking little bits and pieces we learn from each other in life. So the more opportunities to do that just makes you kind of like a happier, healthier person. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at the music travel stuff. It's like I don't really care like about any sort of money coming out of it, or to be honest, like I'm just like, all right, how many cool music experiences can I keep threading to make my life like
Yeah.
exciting? So like if I look at my calendar and be like, oh, once a month I got something, music's taking me somewhere, I'm like, that's a huge win to me. That's like about as big as I can get for me.
Yeah, I feel that. And that's also a good way to say, like, that's also a good addition to, like, even with traveling, we just talked about how, like, are you into the logistics? Are you into all that shit? I guess you can be, so long as you're traveling for the right purpose as well, right? Like,
Yeah, well, this trip is. We talked. This is what the group chat was more about because we got flown out to New York to do something last year, and it was so chaotic
24
that
hours.
that it was like, okay, the ambition part of us saw the opportunity and was like, oh hell yeah, getting flown to New York. Look at us, like this is crazy, and it was. It was really awesome, but like the it was such a micro amount of music for how much logistics it threw off all of our lives for multiple days because it was middle of the night flights. This opportunity is a little different because you guys planned enough stuff that it's like even if you're tired for a few days, like well, good because we actually had stuff to do. We weren't just tired from
jet lag and
jet
shit. Yeah.
lag. Like
Yeah, and
like,
we met people.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
meeting all sorts of different people. Like with that, I think we met like 5 additional people. Whereas here already in one day, we've probably met like 20 folks.
Yeah, who are on like the same
Same
shit.
tip. Yeah.
On the same path.
Drew, let's keep this going, brother.
MF Pro.
Got to keep that going, brother.
5 years and counting.
Yes, sir. 5 years. I'm happy that you guys are here, Billy, especially because we've worked so early on. Season 2. And then I think the first time we met wasn't even for midnight. It was for Julio's like session that he had going
Yeah,
on. I forgot what it was called. But it was that.
Yeah, at Ascension
It was at
Studios.
Ascension. I forgot what the
Midtown
series.
Crates.
I forgot what the series was called. But we went ahead and got
Oh
that.
yeah, the podcast. I remember.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Was that what it was? I thought it was a little session that we came in and we recorded you for the first time.
Yeah, but before that, I don't know if you were a part of that podcast or you were just there at that time, perhaps setting up for something else. But Julio had a podcast, and I was on that podcast, and I think it was either that day or around that time I had met you.
Yeah. And then we get midnight sessions, and then like the 1 year anniversary. She was there at
Yeah.
the 1 year anniversary celebration
I see what
too,
you're
man.
saying.
That's
That's crazy.
crazy.
So like it's really cool to see full circle. And then honestly, I've been wanting this session to happen, man. I've been like,
Oh, yeah.
like
That's cool.
I
I
told
appreciate
you,
that.
I showed y'all the 2121 sticker I had on the laptop. That thing's all like dusty now because that laptop's been through war.
That's love.
Lasso, do you consider you said that like beat making kind of came in a little bit later after already touring as a musician, as an instrumentalist. Do you look at life in like chapters? You get what I'm saying? You said you've been saying the word seasons, so
Yeah,
He's an
definitely.
era man.
eras,
Yeah.
chapters, eras. I like that. Volumes. Do you
Yeah.
consider picking up beat making as kind of the next chapter of the last, or is there like something that happened more recent that you would say is the next shift of your career?
Yeah, I think the picking up beat making led me all the way through the arc of having that record deal and producing some bigger artists and stuff. So, yeah, I'm entering a new. I felt that a lot recently. Like, oh, cool, I'm in a different kind of the beginning of something new or whatever.
What do you feel is the turning point of that entered that?
Honestly, to be real, some life stuff.
Okay.
Like, just like changes in life. You know, kind of getting reflections of yourself and being like, ah, what actually I want to do and how do I want to live? And so I'm more productive and I think better than I've ever been in terms of being able to realize like the sounds I want to make. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
So I'm entering an era where I'm not tied up emotionally needing to be kind of seen with music as much as I once was. So there's a cool freedom in the era I'm entering where yeah, I'm actually working at the pace that's like healthiest for me, and that's never really been my truth with music. I've always been kind of like chasing something else. So I'm very excited to just be able to be creating. That's what I do these days.
That's how you define this new era right now. Kind
Does
of.
it have a
It's
name
very,
yet?
It's very.
Oh, you name them?
And I don't. That'd be sick if I did. I'm really similar to where I was from like 2006 to 2012. I was like just making so much music, and some of it was taking me places, and other bits of it were just like I did that day because that was what I was thinking about that afternoon.
Yeah.
I went and played that keyboard part. So yeah, I like where everything's been at recently.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Billy, you look at life in the same way. I know we've talked a lot about like control, and I don't think this really ties into it too much. But do you look at life in that way? Do you also see it in chapters, or do you kind of see it as one big seamless journey?
I think
guess
I
it could be
have
both.
been lately looking at seasons. I do feel like I'm in a new season. I feel more empowered. I feel stronger. I feel that age has just made me more wise, and I make wiser decisions. So even with the thing with like the lyric archival project, right? Like never before, in all of the years that I've been pushing out projects, I never thought you need to do this, right? But now it's about sustainability, right? It's about a lot of my music I'm recognizing is important, and it's important in different eras, right? So the band The Fire, they just pulled a song of mine that I hadn't sung since Illuma came out. And they were like, we want to do this song. And I'm like, fuck, man, like I haven't practiced this song in like 5 years, you know? Where's the lyrics at? This is another one. I had to go to Bandcamp and like thank my past self for like actually writing them out, but I didn't have a copy of them, you know? So it's I'm in a space now where I'm flowing, but I'm also preparing, and I'm also becoming more organized. Also learning a lot more boundaries, like boundaries around my time, right? In order to allow my life to flow, right? So underneath, there is always that flow, right? But when I have the opportunity to control, when I have the opportunity to prepare for the future, to create legacy and sustainability, like I'll take it. But it's a relaxed understanding. You know, it's not like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this in this time. I have to like, this project might take 3 years, right? But when I have a free moment, I'm gonna do a little bit, right?
Chip
I think
away at
I'm in the space now where it doesn't all have to be done right now. It can be. I have the mental capacity to project forward into the future little by little, right? And now I know, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Even though I don't really like that analogy, the concept there is very true to me right now. So that's my air right now.
I feel that. It sounds a lot more. What's the word? There's a lot of weight that gets removed from your kind of your shoulders when when you're not creating with deadlines or expectations or like, oh, this has to hit, this has to get as many like album listens as it can, all that shit.
Yeah, I admitted to myself like the Splice pack is never coming out. Like, like I'm not making any beat videos, like all this stuff. Like you gotta kind of trim some of the
Yeah, take the pressure
excess
off.
stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
this
feel you.
pressure that's like, I'm never gonna do that, so I shouldn't feel any pressure
Yeah.
about it and stuff. Just kind of
And you shouldn't feel any weight from like the non-completion aspect of it. Yeah, I feel that. Because then next thing you know, like if it doesn't come out, it just could be because something else stemmed from it, and it was just a little bit more of the
Totally.
time. You know.
Yeah.
I feel you, man. You're gonna turn up tonight.
Yeah.
You gonna get
All
it.
the way,
You're gonna get it.
150%.
I know this episode comes out after, but it's just like this is the last like thing before it's just like all showtime. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be really
Yeah.
cool, man.
It's gonna be super fun to have all these folks in the building. Wonderful musicians, great musicians. I mean, we were even speaking with the musicians in Christoph Poppins' band last night. You know, who I've followed and who I've seen thanks to MF Pearl, and I'm excited to rock out. I'm excited to rock out with Groovy Smokes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Stan Z,
Yeah.
and also just like celebrate you two, like. I said the last time I was here, you know, the glow up is for real, you know, from the liquid gold all the way up until now. Like people see you, right? And now is an opportunity to like really celebrate you because your work is like becoming more and more embodied and folks are seeing you and hopefully you'll get like way more support because what you're doing is spectacular, particularly for this area. So I just want to take some time to thank y'all because
Thank you.
you're doing wonderful, wonderful work.
Appreciate it. Try to do it for the artists, man. There's a lot of stories, there's a lot of music to be shared from here. And then just trying to combine it with the world's music as well.
Yeah.
To just show how like El Paso sound translates to the world. Not El Paso, but like the Frontera.
Yeah.
Because I really do want to take pride in the fact that like we do have 3 cities right next to each other that all have their own
Absolutely.
lane. And when they come together, it could be really strong. We're like isolated as a city, you know, like there's really nothing near us except for Juarez and Las Cruces. So I feel like we should take pride in that, like that 3-piece, and then
3-piece combo.
yeah, and then like I said, combine it with the world sound as well.
Absolutely. You're doing very, very important archival work. You know?
Archival,
Yeah.
them lyrics. Imagine
Legacy.
archiving all those lyrics
Yeah.
for the episodes. But for show, man. Well, let's get show ready then. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Done.
us.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you guys so much. Let's get one more. Billy Free and the Lasso. Yes. And before we go, shout out Deep Greasy and Grayson Nye, man.
Yeah.
They're out
That's
taking
it.
a walk right now in downtown El Paso. But tonight it's gonna be a really cool combination of all you guys. It's an honor to have you guys here for sure. But yeah, man. Hey, that's what we're gonna do over here, bro. We about to get into the show. Against the Grain, 5 years we're here, and then we're filming the podcast right before the show. What a day, man! Did a photo shoot right before this. Now we about to just get it on, man. Let's go. Obviously it's gonna come out after, man. So we just want to thank everyone that does show up tonight, join in the celebration, and just recognize El Paso's creativity and community. In all honesty, the team effort behind this event is incredible. There's so many people that put their hands on this and helped out. So I just want to thank every one of you guys. And I know, like I said, it's going to come out after, but this is literally moments before the show. So I got to express my gratitude because my hand's about to start shaking and everything from nervousness. So Against the Grain, man. MF Pearl, live at MFHQ. Make sure you guys show love to all of our platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music as well. And then of course you can find us on Instagram. So just make sure you guys are showing love on all those platforms. Help us grow so that we can get to 10 years and then celebrate even bigger as well. Just keep leveling up every time. Before we get too sentimental, man, let's close this off. Let's close this episode off one time. But before we go, where can we find you guys? On all platforms, where can we find the music, Instagrams, all that stuff.
You can find me at ABILLIFRE. Hopefully some text shows up right here.
Yeah, we got that.
And you can check out our music, Holy Body Roll by Billi Free and the Lasso on Bandcamp. Just type us in, bro.
Check it out.
And sis.
Yeah. Look, they got my Instagram right here. And you could find my music under the Lasso. I got also stuff under just Lasso, and then you can check out all my remix work under Coney Fries.
Let's go, man. Coney fries. What we talking about over here, bro? One more for Coney fries. Yo, man, just make sure you guys go check out their music. It's amazing. Ever since I discovered this iteration of A Billy Free as well as the Lasso, I just been wanting to bring this group to El Paso, and we're finally here, man. So, music, man, it's a beautiful thing, and it connects a lot of people, and there's a lot of magic behind it than just the sound itself. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out their music. Make sure you guys go ahead and support the arts. Hit it up on Bandcamp too, man. But that's what we're gonna do. We'll go ahead and call it an episode right there, and we'll see you guys at the next episode of Live at MFHQ. Yo.